Hi, welcome everyone. We're really happy that you'll be joining us today for our webinar, How Lutron Delivers a Brilliant Internet of Things Experience. Today, we'll be spending our time with our esteemed guests at Lutron, and we'll be covering a few topics. So we'll first do some introductions, and we'll walk through a background on Lutron electronics, and then specifically dive into the Internet of Things product that will be the focus of today's webinar, which is Caseta Wireless. Talk a bit about how the team there delivers sort of top-notch experiences, and we'll spend just a few moments on criticism, and then we'll really take your questions. I think we're lucky enough to have the guests from Lutron Electronics who are really experts in this field, and so you definitely have the opportunity to ask some questions. So first of all, let me introduce the folks joining us today. So first of all, Matt Swatsky is the Product Engineering Manager over at Lutron Electronics. Hi, Matt. How are you doing?
Hi. How you doing, Josh?
Doing great. Doing great. And then sitting right next to you in the co-pilot seat over there is Brian Barnes, who's the Design and Development Engineer, also at Lutron. How you doing, Brian?
Fine, thank you.
Great. So you guys are joining us out of Pennsylvania, and then where's HQ again for you?
Yeah, we're in the vast metropolis of Coopersburg, Pennsylvania.
Nice. How big is the vast metropolis there? I actually don't know.
Yeah, there's, I'd say, a few thousand residents in the area, but we're really part of the greater Lehigh Valley, where Allentown is, which is the third largest city in Pennsylvania.
Got it. Cool. Perfect. Well, thank you very much for joining and walking the audience through. So on this side, on the criticism side, I'm Josh Vantana. I'm the Director of Product Marketing here, and I'm based out of our San Francisco office. So let's dive right in. I'm just going to spend just a couple minutes here teeing up, who criticism is. Obviously, we're joining Lutron as well. But before we get there, a couple quick housekeeping. One, we are recording this webinar, so we will make that available. Usually, it's about a week afterwards by the time we get the recording packaged up, and we'll email it to everyone who registered for this. Second, we'd love to have questions from everyone that's joining us today. The Lutron team is really, front and center in this Internet of Things market, and I think they'd welcome taking your questions. To do that, you don't have a mic, so obviously there's a chat pod. Just go ahead and use that and submit questions, and we'll either take them on the fly or we'll save some of them up if it makes sense and we'll do them at the end. So you'll have time at both periods to do that. And then finally, we are going to do a giveaway of Lutron's Caseta Wireless Kit, and so stay online till the end of the webinar, and we're actually going to do the random drawing right at the end, so we'll announce who that is, and we'll also contact you directly on the webinar and then afterwards. So please do stay through, and we'll go through that. And just to be clear, so what are we giving away? It is Matt, maybe you can describe the exact components. I think you'll do better justice to this than I.
Yeah. So you'll get a dimmer, which works with LEDs and CFLs. You'll get a remote control for it to operate that dimmer. You also get a lamp dimmer, another remote for that, and then you also get our smart bridge, which connects you up to the internet, and there's a free app that comes with that. So you'll have control from your lights from anywhere in the world, and it can be expanded, if you like, to more lights and even shades.
And we're going to be spending basically the whole webinar kind of going into detail on the Caseta wireless system. So you have a pretty good sense of what the product is and actually what it took for the team to bring this innovation to market. So with that, I'd like to spend just a couple minutes just teeing up criticism very briefly. I'll only take a moment of your time to do this. So first of all, what does criticism do? We're focused on accelerating your mobile business. So we ensure that your mission-critical apps are delivering the technical and business results that you intended. And so how do we do this? We are the leading mobile application performance management solution, and we provide granular, actionable data that lets ops, product managers, developers they give them the ability to manage and monitor the revenue or business-critical mobile apps and connected apps. We do this at scale, so we got about 15,000 apps in our system, and we have over a billion monthly active users running in over 120 countries. So we're really, the company has its heritage in mobile and connected devices. We were built completely for the mobile connected world. We run across all the major mobile operating systems, so all the familiar names, iOS, Android, Windows Phone, but really the entire mobile spectrum, so Unity, Android NDK, a number of the mobile application development platforms. And we're really geared to helping manage and monitor across the uniqueness that is part of the mobile and connected world, so different carriers, networks, device form factors, OSs, etc. We're also proud to have a really great roster of investors like Scale Venture Partners, Google Ventures, Kleiner Perkins, and Accenture, who also has a large mobility practice. So that gives you a quick overview of who we are and what we do. Just very briefly, we work with a number of customers like PayPal or LinkedIn, Urban Outfitters, Zynga. All these customers use our solution to improve mobile app revenues, ensure that the app has high quality, and to protect the company's brand on the mobile channel. And we help companies reduce the operational expenses that by reducing the time. Whoops. My slides are a little slow to load here, so I apologize. Looks like I've got about a 10-second delay, so I'm pushing a button and then they're coming up. And then finally, beyond the brand and operational costs and revenue, our solution helps engineering and development teams that are focused on mobile accelerate their time to market and give them a focus on developing better apps. So with that, very brief intro. What I wanted to do is, again, we are lucky to be working with Lutron Electronics as one of our customers, and I'd like to actually turn it over to Matt to give us a bit of an introduction to Lutron Electronics, and then we'll be talking a bit about the product itself. So Matt, could you give us a bit of a background on Lutron?
Yep, thanks, Josh. So at Lutron, we've been in business for about 53 years. We're a privately held company, and we really focus on innovation in the lighting and shading industry. And it was all started in 1961 when our owner and founder invented the first solid-state dimmer. So like the dimmer you have in your dining room or in the kitchen or the bathroom. He invented that and built a business around that. And we actually have businesses that, go everywhere from large commercial building systems to large residential homes to products you can find at Home Depot and Lowe's and Menards or your favorite hardware store. So the other thing that I think that goes with that is that sometimes we're behind the scenes and we're not the most recognized brand out there, but we're behind the scenes actually controlling a lot of the energy and systems that go into different buildings and places. So the one example shown up there is a building in Canada that has 20,000 wireless nodes. So when we talk about the connected home, we've been doing systems for about 30 years now, and we have some lessons learned that we're going to share with you.
And are you guys, I think someone mentioned to me, I was talking to the team over here about the webinar coming up, and I think someone had heard you were also in the Statue of Liberty. Is that true?
That is true. So we did some of the outdoor and exterior and some of the interior lights. We did not do the torch, though. I think that's a common. But yeah, we're also in the Statue of Liberty. And I think I noted up there another thing is, so at Mr. Jones and Mrs. Smith's house, we're in everybody's dining room. So we're also on a lot of people's walls in your house today. So Lutron, we really stick behind these 5 principles that have guided us over the last 50 years. Numbers 1, 4, and 5 are bolded, and the reason they're bold is because those were specifically applicable to what we did with criticism. So the first one is take care of the customer, right? We always drive what we're trying to do in our experience, and you're going to see some of the examples that Brian and I are going to talk about tie back to that. And then 4 and 5 is all about, so you can take care of the customer, but we want to give them something new and exciting that's really high quality, and that they actually get, you know, number 5, deliver value, get their money worth of their products.
We'll spend quite a bit of time talking about those 2 things here and the benefits for the customers as well. So what do those principles, you know, influence in terms of your products and the experience?
Yeah, so you know, the biggest thing I think is that isn't obvious with the Internet of Things is that the stuff still has to work. The products that you buy in the Internet of Things are more like appliances and less like cell phones and iPads. So if you think about the lifespan of a cell phone, when your contract's up, you get a new one. And a lot of times you have to get a new one if you want to run the new features and software, or it runs too slow and drains your battery. And so every 2 years you're upgrading. Well, when you buy the Internet of Things in your house, and you can think of a TV has a 7-year lifestyle, our products actually tend to be between 10 and 20-year lifestyle. So, and to add to that, when you flip that light switch or you move that shade up and down with your finger, you expect it to work every time, all the time. And if you really think about it, the average homeowner or family uses their light switches 100 times a day. And you're like, how could that be possible? When you get up in the morning, you turn the lights on. You go to the bathroom, you turn the lights on. You turn the bathroom off. You go to the closet, you turn that light on. You turn it off. You turn the bedroom light off and go downstairs. You just left your bedroom in the morning. You already used it 6 times. And when you multiply that by the average family size and the number of rooms in a house, you're over 100 times. And so that number 1 is the thing we stand behind, which is it's got to work. And so we design our stuff to work like a light switch or a regular manual shade. And so some of these things on this list really go into that. So, you know, response times of being less than a half a second. So it's not okay to get a spinning wheel while you're waiting to turn the lights on because people are used to a light switch. The wiring, the products that we design are not only designed to work with all the popular cell phones and tablets and things, they're also designed to work with all the popular light bulbs that people buy. So if your light bulb burns out, you go to the store and you buy an LED bulb these days, or a halogen, or a CFL, and our products work with those. And so that's kind of our mantra is we don't want it to fail, and we say, there was an article in the NEMA magazine, the National Electrical Manufacturers Association, that said, in the Internet of Things, things have to work, and that we've always believed that.
Can you go to the next slide, Josh?
Yeah. Viewing. So I think we got a little technical glitch here. Bear with us a second. So as we move through, though, this Internet of Things, we'll start talking about our different products that basically work with the different devices. So we have basically a bunch of different components that go into the system that we worked on with criticism. So the first component that we have is our dimmers. Our second component is our lamp dimmers. Our third component is our Pico remotes. And our fourth.
We just joined back in. Sorry, not sure what happened on our end there.
Yep. Thanks, Josh. I kept talking. So if you can flip back to the deck, we'll keep going.
Perfect. All right. Tell me where you got
right.
to.
Yeah, that's good. Right there on the Jetsons slide will be perfect. So you know, when we said things have to work, I mean, Josh, I don't know if you remember this. Did you watch the Jetsons when you were a kid?
I did. George Jetson and Rosie the robot. Yep.
Rosie the robot, right? And when you think about the things that happened in the show, I remember being a kid telling my my dad, I said, hey, Pop, I'm watching the Jetsons. We're gonna have all this stuff when I grow up. And he said, sure, Matt. I remember saying that to my dad when I was your age, because the Jetsons have been on forever. So, but when you look at these pictures up here and you talk about Rosie the robot, you know, when you think about, some of them are actually starting to happen. So like Rosie the robot, there's a Roomba. Before the Jetsons came out, there's a box that cooks your meal. The microwave's been out for a while, but there's all these different quick inventions that help you do things, smart coffee pots and things like that. Elroy there is looking at a little radio. I think there's a product called Sonos out there, flat screen TVs, exercise, health gear, and things like that. It's starting to become true, and it's actually a really exciting time. So what we did is we took those 4 components I talked about, the dimmer, lamp dimmer, remote, and shade, and then, so that's the basis. And then the next thing we got 3 accessories for them. So there's basically a wall-mount adapters to put different devices to actually make it physically usable. And why this is important for us is that the cell phone is great and it's fun, and you can configure things, and you can use it while you're away, and you can use it when you don't want to get your lazy butt off the couch, but it's not always practical when you talk about the 100 times a day use your light switch. So really these accessories help make the Internet of Things more accessible. And then when we add to that, we have 2 smart fridges. So we have one for the do-it-yourself customer, and we have one for your do-it-for-me customer, the Pro version. And then what that amounts to for everybody in the industry is there's one big opportunity for everybody in the Internet of Things. So there, I think I saw, I can't remember the source, but there was an article published in December that said that the industry was going to be what, $24 billion in the next 5 years total, and then 6 months later they republished it at $48 billion. They already doubled it because I think the excitement and the number of people getting into the industry started growing.
And I think IDC has a version of that as well that they did earlier this year. That I think it includes the services around the installation and whatnot, and they had trillions in their number. So I think by 2020
we're talking about services and install and security fees and things like that. It's enormous. So it's a really big opportunity. So here's the app that actually lets you control the different things. We're going to show you a couple screens here quickly. Our app is free, which means you can use it inside the home or outside the home from anywhere in the world for free to, did I leave my lights on? Did I forget to shut my shades? Those kinds of things. So just a quick thing through our screens, and you can actually download this on the Google Play and Apple App Store today. And so we really we tried to make it simple. We didn't go with a lot of bells and whistles at first. We intentionally made it simple with a roadmap to add things as we move. So we started, pick a device, and you can see the second screen, the dimmer control. When you pick that device, you get a control right there. And if you want to do anything more advanced, like add a new device or time clock like that, you use the menus to get there. But keep the front screen very simple and reliable.
I think we have one more set of screens here.
Yep, so these are just how we set up. So the other thing I think that people don't think about with the Internet of Things is you got to commission it or set up or pair a program. We always say ours is as simple as pairing, which it is. And I think we're showing the Android screens on this one. And basically what the point is that the user experience isn't always just about that catchy splash screen that they use, and it's the one you put on the ads or the digital ads or the commercials or whatever. The commissioning part's got to be simple and straightforward too.
Matt, could you I just want to make it clear, both to me and I think the audience. So let's sort of take a scenario. Imagine, so my wife and I, we just bought a house out in Berkeley, and let's say we wanted to get Lutron up and running. Just walk me through kind of, the process. So I would go to Home Depot or some store like that. I would purchase something like the starter kit we're giving away, right, with the dimmers and the bridge, and then just walk me through what happens. How do we get started? I'm just trying to understand the experience in the first, setup period to getting your first light switch on or off.
Sure. Can you jump to the next slide quick then?
Sure.
Yeah. So one more. Sorry, I got them out of order here. So the idea here is that there's really a couple different people who play in the market, right? So a lot of people will go to their favorite store, and we can add other electronic stores and things. I just put a couple up here as an example. But let's say you go to Home Depot and you decide you're going to get in the connected home, and you buy some stuff, and you happen to buy Lutron light dimmers. So you come home. You physically put the devices into your house. So if it's a lamp dimmer, you just plug it into the wall. If it was a light switch for in-wall, you just replace your light switch with our dimmer. Then you plug our bridge into our app. We intentionally didn't do Wi-Fi setup because it's simple to just plug it in. There's no passwords. Even with some of the stuff Android and Apple lets you do, it's still easier to just plug it into your router. So you plug it in. Then you basically download the app, you start the app up, and the first thing it says is, enter an email and password so you can remotely access it, so that we use TLS encryption all the way through and authentication. It says, okay, we found a bridge on your network. Go to the bridge and tap a button. You tap the button on the bridge. Now your smart bridge is in your system. And then it steps you through adding the devices you just purchased into your system, and then they all appear on your home screen. It takes about 10 minutes to set up. The other option is you can do it for me. So there's a whole network of installers and contractors who will put this in for you professionally. Maybe you don't feel comfortable installing high voltage stuff. Maybe you don't want to hang your own shades. You can get people to do it for you as well. And then we also have influencers who do it for me, professionals like architects and specifiers and distributors who influence the professionals to buy the Internet of Things products.
And Josh, take a step back for a minute. So taking your example of you've got your house and you want to get started with the connected home, I think one way that can be done and approached easily is just like pick a room that you want to start it out in. So let's say you've got like your living room, and you can look at what's in there. Maybe there's 3 or 4 lights. Maybe there's there's a lamp in the ceiling, and then you have a couple lamps on tables or on the floor, and then you can go and get the devices you need to fill that space. And I think one thing that we're not going into detail here, but I mean, Lutron's business, especially residentially, is about providing like a really pleasant lighting experience. And it sounds kind of corny saying this, but I mean, you've been in a room before where it has a dimmer and it's cool. You can get a nice effect, and so kind of the hidden thing, you're adding all these connected devices, but you're probably going to be replacing a lot of lamps that normally switch on and off with dimmers, and
right.
And so you're going to be able to create like just really nice kind of ambient effects in that space. So
yeah, I mean, another example, right, building off of Brian there, is like, so in maybe a TV room or a media room or wherever you watch your television, sometimes there's too much light or not enough or glare or whatever, and the dimmers add that. So you can take a flat screen TV that you literally got at Walmart for $800 and make it look like a $5,000 TV if you put good lighting on it.
That's a trick I need to learn.
I have a product for you, Josh.
Love it. I mean, the dilemma. I mean, my family is a good example, right? My wife is, I guess, I'll say she's the brains of the couple. She's a professor, super smart, but maybe a late adopter on technology, whereas come from an engineering background, so I'm very comfortable kind of doing things. And you need the app and the bridge and all this stuff just needs to you know, be simple for either kind of persona involved on the, at least on the residential side here, right? I mean, it's quite a difficult challenge that you guys are working on getting perfect here.
Right. So the design phase of the app, you know, during all that, and then as we're putting it together and testing it out, we really have to take into account all these different kinds of people that are going to use it, and that's what makes it a lot of fun.
Perfect. And while we're transitioning to the next slide, there was a question from the audience just about sort of geography. Is this a product that is available worldwide, or what markets are you serving today with it?
So this product today is really in, I would say, North America. We're expanding quickly into Latin America, and stay tuned for some global products coming soon.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So, you know, I think we've teed up a little bit about what, you know, a bit about Lutron and where this product fits and described it. But I think let's maybe spend a little bit of time talking about, you know, how you actually deliver and bring this to market. So can you just tell us a little bit about the behind-the-scenes aspects of getting this product to market?
Yep. So there's a nice Venn diagram you put together, Josh. And so, right. So in the previous slides, you saw that we've got the little remote, and we've got the dimmer that you put in your wall or that you plug in, and then there's a smart bridge. So, you know, Lutron, you know, designed each of those components from the ground up. So they all have to work together, and that's, you know, getting them all integrated and designed to be able to connect robustly is key, and that's what really requires a integrated development process. So you can see there. So we've got the embedded software. There's, you know, we designed the board that is inside the smart bridge and that are inside the dimmers, and then, you know, in parallel, we're working on the app and the UI that we're going to use to do all this. So it's a very integrated parallel development. And yeah, so you know, and then the processes that we use, right? So pretty much all the teams are following an agile type structure, and you know, we have daily scrums. One thing that's cool to note about criticism is so Jira is one of the tools that we use for our planning and kind of project tracking, and criticism is a cool plugin that goes directly with Jira, so that for at least the app team, you know, issues can come in through criticism. We can follow up on them and track them and resolve them. We've got build servers and all sorts of automation. Another throw in here for the criticism feature. So for app developers, and when you know, Apple, all the like stack traces and everything are going to be pretty much obfuscated. So you have to build in a way to like decrypt that. So criticism has an API for uploading those. So, you know, every time we kick up a build, that gets uploaded automatically, and the crash reports are understandable. And so post development and post product launch, we have a good, strong support infrastructure with our tech support, and so we have to. So even you could even add a bubble inside the product group there for, like, you know, tech support and getting them up to speed and ready to deal with any sort of support issues that might come up. And finally, the way that we rolled it out is, as you might expect, there's plenty of testing that is done during development and on a sprint by sprint basis. And then we had a pretty huge alpha and beta group especially for this, probably the largest one at Lutron. I know, like, a lot of our projects.
Give us a sense of how big that is.
In the hundreds, basically.
So, and in this case, these are residential homes, or are these the partner ecosystem that you're working with, or a bit of both?
So we do the alpha beta internally, so that's with Lutron employees from sometimes, I mean, kind of you could consider the alpha group more of like on team or engineering based group where they'll get kind of the first pass, built firmware and app builds, and then eventually that'll get distributed to the larger beta group of other people in other disciplines at the company, and then we collect feedback and can analyze kind of the results of the beta tests and use that going forward.
And we'll be talking about that a little bit more in a second, but just quick plug for you guys. So you guys are hiring. Just super quick, where is this based? Where you guys are now, or do you have places throughout the country?
Yep. So the headquarters is here in Coopersburg, Pennsylvania, but we also have an office in Boston. And so, yep, we're looking for software developers, embedded, and app-type people, for sure.
Very cool, yeah. I mean,
you can find that on the Lutron website.
Good stuff, and I mean, like a role that sort of cuts across many different disciplines, interfaces with a lot of disciplines at least. So very, you guys are at the pointy edge of the spear, so neat work potentially here. So maybe as we sort of transition a little bit, we're going to maybe talk a bit about the use cases where criticism plays a role, but I mean, I think maybe it makes sense to just help folks understand why, why you felt like you needed some kind of solution to monitor the performance or the experience of the solution that you're bringing to market.
Yep. And so the app is the part that is in the customer's hands, and it's right in front of them, and that's one spot where it's going to be easy to detect issues that could be happening anywhere else in the stack, and it's got the connection to phone those right back home to us. So by putting kind of error handling and error reporting thing in the app is just like it's a no-brainer for us to have that be a way to get back this like technical feedback. But there's so many moving pieces in the system that without having like detailed logs to look into issues, we'd be in a lot of trouble. So one thing we've always done is gather logs, and this is like a no-brainer best practice for all the stuff we have at Lutron, or really any connected product is, when needed, you can look at everything that happened at all of the different parts in the system.
And you guys were already doing that kind of thing on your back end. You are doing that on your back end services already, right? I mean, you have a pass system and servers that you'd have internal systems that do some of that. As we sort of transition into criticism, where does it fill a gap for you guys relative to what we're able to do?
So, especially directly on the mobile devices, if it handles a bunch of different cases, and so I think we'll hit that in the use cases for sure. But I did want to mention, the different pieces in the system. We've got our cloud kind of platform as a service. We're using Heroku, and so we've got all these systems running and interacting, and so they're all logging away. So it's really cool to look into these issues and like pinpoint where trouble starts.
Cool. Should I move to the next slide?
Go for it. Yeah, thanks. Yep. So So with criticism, we've got that in the app, and it's just gives us such a sense of readiness for issues that might come up in the app. Like we can set up all sorts of bells and whistles so that we're like way ahead of our game when something bad might go wrong. And criticism helps fill the gap for all the apps. We've got the Android and the iOS app. They're separate, they're totally separate apps, but are all phoning home with logs and information when we need it.
And would that, I guess, without this kind of solution in place, how do you normally get feedback from the field? What's your typical feedback loop with, let's say, without criticism in place? Is this support channels or telephone calls, or how would that info normally get back to you guys?
Yep. So kind of through our tech support structure, if somebody sees an issue and they call in, one of the first steps is to have them send in like a support file from our app. So this kind of gets us that without them having to go that far, and gives us early warning and early notice to resolve any of the issues that might come up.
Got it. Yep.
So yeah, I think what we can do is actually cover these in more detail on the different use cases we have. So bingo, right? So criticism was super useful during the development process, and especially during crunch time, getting meeting our internal goals to get the product out the door. So as we were pulling the app together and getting the features integrated across the system, we're able to get it through our QA as quickly as possible, detect issues, crashes and stuff like that, any glitches, and then through the alpha and beta group, continue to kind of collect and monitor. And then as the issues came in, it's pretty straightforward to look at the counts from criticism and how many times different events are occurring, and it's easy to mark them as resolved.
And that you use the counts or impacted users to sort of prioritize. That's what you're saying?
Yep. And so
got it.
So we can't just look at that. I mean, if there's a serious issue that happens just once, we'll definitely we don't not care about the low count ones, but it's having all the information there gives us the ability to prioritize the different issues.
Perfect. Go on to the second use case.
Right. So so say for example during the system commissioning step in the app, you use the app and the app is sending messages to the bridge, and the bridge is sending messages out to the devices, and in the event of an exception, we're already handling that ourselves, but since we've got criticism in the app, we're then able to beam that back using the handled exception feature, which, to kind of describe that, is without doing anything, when you start using criticism, you get a report from just the app crashes. But if you set up handled exceptions, you can really send back any sort of report without having the app crash. So you can, if you're already detecting specific cases, this gives you the ability to report that back, so that when things happen, how many times a device doesn't respond to a system type command, or anytime if a light didn't turn on. And I'm not saying that these things happen, but we can catch all these exceptions explicitly and get back that information to see when and if it happens. And then
Couple questions that I think relate to this, Brian, that came from the audience. So the first is, I think there's, in terms of devices that you can connect to, I mean, you've listed a few of these, but, are there other kinds of things from, is this, I guess the question boils down to how open is the system and other devices or APIs to interact with what you have here? And probably this is maybe a good area to discuss that.
Yep. So in the Caseta system, there's the smart bridge, and then the smart bridge communicates with the Lutron connected devices using Lutron's proprietary RF Clear Connect protocol. So the only lights that coexist in the system are the Lutron Caseta line of lights. So there's the Caseta switch, Caseta dimmer, Pico remotes, and the Lutron shades that are supported, and okay. So
we have a couple things going on too, right? So in the fall, our app will also be able to talk to Honeywell Wi-Fi thermostats, and also we have a light bulb, a screw-in light bulb, so you don't need any wires for overhead lights that we're working on with GE. And so the way we did our system, we had two approaches. The first one was that we would create an end-to-end from the device to the bridge to the cloud service to the app that is a Lutron experience focused on light, shades, and temperature. And then what we also did is took those same devices and started integrating them with other people's systems. So we're part of the Staples Connect system. We're part of the Wink Hub. We can integrate our systems with professionally installed AV and security gear. And so we kind of had a twofold approach because different customers want different things.
Got it. That makes sense. And I'll warn you, Matt, I'm seeing a whole bunch of questions coming in that deal with roadmap-like items. There's a lot of interest in where you guys are going and how you're going to connect to all the other devices in the ecosystem.
Yes. So I would say that what's announced right now is a light bulb a set of light bulbs from GE that will screw in, and you can use our remotes and you can use our bridge and our app with those, as well as our lamp dimmer shades and in-wall dimmers, and it'll create a bigger ecosystem, and the integration with Honeywell thermostat. Other than that, we definitely have things in the pipeline, but we, unfortunately, being a private company, family-owned company, I'm not in the family, and I can't say.
Totally understood. Yeah, cool. Perfect. Well, Brian, should I move on to the next slide?
Yeah, I think that'd be good. So the other cool thing that's just built into Criticism and really easy to use is the performance monitoring related to the networking part of the app. So the app is doing all sorts of, the app is working with the bridge to make all sorts of communications happen with the end devices, and so that's the really useful bit about the ways that we can pull all that back in through the app in Criticism. But here, the other component is just like anything between the app and the smart bridge. We want to know if somebody can't connect, and we want to know if there's some sort of weird edge case with a specific device, or like a carrier, or like a model of the iPhone, or who knows, where they can't get through for whatever reason. So the built-in network monitoring stuff in Criticism is one way we can just get that, and it's super easy for us to use, and we can set up alerts and stuff if there's high latency, or if it's detecting lots of errors. So it's got this separate feature for making sure that the app is connected and to let us know if it's ever not.
Cool. So just summarizing, three big buckets. First is getting it out to market and getting feedback from your alpha and beta teams, and then once you're in live, and then you have as the ecosystem expands and as you have people plug in, how do you watch if the device connectivity to your app, and then third is, how does the app connect to components that it depends on the back end.
Yep.
Cool. So I'm watching time a little bit here, guys, so I know we got about 10 minutes, and I think there are a few questions also piling up, so I'm going to move us forward a little bit. If you could just, I know you guys considered different tools and tactics. What you ended up sort of with criticism. What's led you down that path?
I mean, I think if you look back at the use cases, and all of that is just part of the criticism solution. We'd have to really build it ourselves, or throw in a hodgepodge of other tools and services. But with criticism, it's just like it's just so easy to pull it into the app, and you get all the results kind of all in the same place, and you can pull that into your tracking stuff so you don't miss anything, and it's just easy, and it has everything.
Cool. So, and I think you really highlighted this on the use case slide, just the sort of both the crash side and the service side, and get up and running. And just very briefly, what does it take to get it installed? Can you just give us maybe a 1 minute on how you got up and running with criticism and your stuff?
Yeah, I mean, so to get the baseline, like no effort implementation, you sign up, download the SDK, add that to the app code, and then there's like a one-line initialize, and then you've got, and then you basically get the crash reporting and the performance monitoring, without any like special hooks or anything, and then it's just other calls to the library to get everything else as needed. Perfect.
So, perfect. Well, I mean, obviously, we're happy to be working with you guys on this. It's a sweet product. So, maybe you could talk just a little bit about kind of the directionally, where you guys are going, and just a bit of a retrospective on this space. You've obviously really gather a lot of experience in the Internet of Things and connected devices. Maybe you could just talk just a little bit about that.
Sure. So again, during this development, this is kind of awesome for us because it's just been years in the making. We've been engineering the different system products, and we're at the point where we could take it down into this set of simple devices that have the right feature set, and are they're using our kind of proven out communication technology, and so there's like a lineage here with the Lutron products. So it's without having that lineage, I don't know. I mean, it's got to be a huge challenge to get a system that can do this sort of stuff together, and then add to that the whole like cloud connection and like accessibility features. So it's been a ride, and it's been a great experience to learn all these technologies and implement each step of the way.
And a reminder, if anybody wants to also learn those technologies, you know who to contact. So Brian's got a team that'd be happy to have a rock star software engineer join up. So good stuff.
Yes,
so, sorry, go ahead, Brian.
No, that's nothing.
So I'm looking at the time, I want to at least take one or two questions. I had a few slides. I'm literally going to fly through the slides that I had on the criticism side in about a minute and a half. So I want to just leave people with a somewhat concrete view of what criticism is that Brian's been talking about. So we have a mobile APM solution that lets you monitor, prioritize, and troubleshoot these mobile-specific and connected device-specific performance issues, and the way we do that is we have an SDK that goes in the apps that reports data back to us and provides an interface for the team to gather that data. So imagine you launched an app. We would send you an alert if an issue arrives, and with our new capabilities that we announced last week with transaction monitoring, we can actually connect that directly to revenue and business impact. So we could tell you the amount of revenue at risk due to a performance issue. Using that data, you can prioritize the issues either by the impacted user or the revenue at risk. So you, for example, if there was a failure, say, in a shopping cart transaction, you could look at that and actually drill into it. With the latest capabilities where we are bringing to market, that's beta right now, you can actually drill into this exact transaction trace. So this combines the breadcrumbs that Brian talked about with the service calls. You can literally see very mobile-specific things like, hey, they changed network connectivity, they made a network call, they foregrounded, backgrounded the app, and then they ran an issue and it crashed. And you can unwind that through the tool. You can, if there's a service issue, just like Brian was talking about, we have diagnostic data with latency, error rate, volume, and break it down by all sorts of capabilities with the carrier OS device to let you highlight the issues. Similarly, on the crash side, if there's a crash-related issue, we give detailed diagnostic and stack traces that allow you to unwind and identify, troubleshoot those issues very quickly. And then finally, let's imagine you released an app after you've done fixes. We have dashboards and reports that let you trend if the new version is improving based on what you did. So you can see the DAU, MAU, you can see if the revenue at risk is improving, you can see if the crash rate information is improving. And this data is available to be plugged into your backend system, so we have an open API that lets you suck the data out and push it into your own third-party solutions that allow you to slice and dice and correlate this with other information. Well, that was a whirlwind. So now we wanted to announce the winner of the solution and take some questions. So very quickly, we have picked the winner behind the scenes here, and I'm going to read off first name, last initial. So Samuel Y. We will reach out to you after the webinar with details on how we can get that to you. So appreciate Lutron also participating in this. And then I know Brian and Matt have to go in a few minutes, so there's only a time for one or two questions. We did take a few of those on the fly. So the one thing, a few of these relate to the roadmap related items. So the one question here is we've talked a little bit residential specific. Maybe can you talk a bit about more the enterprise side of things and the non-residential? How would this work in that environment, or how does Lutron work in that environment with IoT? Let's maybe leave it at that.
So it's different in one thing is that the people who buy and decide to install the commercial properties, that they're different people, right? It's not a homeowner, it's a business. There has to be some sort of usually return on what they're trying to do, whether that's productivity or that's actually energy savings or whatever that is. They need a reason to do it, and so the other difference is that the people who use the space aren't as likely to be using their phones and things like that. The real people in the space are like facilities managers and people who work in the operating and maintenance departments who have to maintain the building. So these are people that change light bulbs. These are people who are responsible for paying the energy bills. These are people who are responsible to make sure the people who are actually working don't have a problem. And so the kinds of things they need are a little different. And a lot of times when we develop apps with them, sometimes it's contained in the building. It actually doesn't have to go outside the network. But in other cases, like bank properties, you might have 1,000 bank branches and you want to talk to all of them at the same time. So the problems sometimes are smaller because they're contained in a system, and sometimes they're bigger because they're spread geographically across many locations. Perfect.
And then one I think you might be able to take quickly is a question just about the communications. Is it radio frequency? What's the distance limitations or communication limitations?
Yeah, so we actually, for lighting, we chose, we call it Clear Connect technology. We started that, actually. We pioneered and have some of the fundamental patents in wireless lighting controls. Our first product came out in 1997. Before, actually, Wi-Fi wasn't even called Wi-Fi yet. It was just an idea or a standard, but wasn't promoted. It was before Zigbee, it was before Z-Wave, it was before Bluetooth. And so we picked a band that actually most of your wireless things in your home today work on, or RF wireless things. So it's just in the 400 megahertz ranges. It's a lower band that's open by the FCC in the U.S. We have other bands around the world, but your car key fob works on it, your garage door works on it, your wireless home security system works on those bands. And the reason is because they're quiet. You're only allowed to talk when something happens, so it's very event-driven. And we chose that for 4 reasons: accountability, reliability, compatibility, and the fact that we had to make the whole control system work as a system.
And as for range, so the Smart Bridge has a 30-foot radius, basically advertised as the bubble where everything in that bubble is guaranteed to work regardless of what's in there.
Yeah, so that includes walls, pipes, chicken and lath, plaster, whatever's on it works through any construction, and practice works much, much, much further than 30 feet. We've seen devices work at 100, 200, and 300 feet.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, guys, I think we're going to draw to a close. I know you both have to be somewhere soon. So there were a couple questions, and Matt, I'll forward a couple to you that folks are looking for some more info that I think would be best directed to you. And the presentation recording is all going to be, the recording and video on demand will be sent out, like I said, later, probably in about a week. So we'll provide that for you. Okay, Matt, Brian, hey guys, thanks a lot. Really appreciate you taking the time to explain what you guys are doing to the audience. And I think it's a very interesting space, and it's great to talk to folks that are really knee-deep and experts in the IoT space. So thanks again. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting us, Josh.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, folks. We're going to log off now. Appreciate everyone dialing in. Cheers.